Andy, it's Monday,
It
week
is.
week two of my health um journey.
Yes.
So, are you ready? Are you ready for the drum
The
roll?
results, the results. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Okay. So, weighing on the scale today is 217.2 last week. So I was down 2 pounds from the week before.
Ah,
216.6 this
all
time,
right.
Andy. So I'm
All
a
right.
little now here's the thing, Andy. It was a bad weekend for me. It was like a really bad weekend. I'll talk about that in the first segment here, but like I didn't blow it out. I didn't go above where I was last time. I
Yeah.
still went down low.
Yep.
And in fact, by on Friday, I was at a really good number where I would have been really happy with. But it happens, Andy. You have a weekend. I didn't blow it out of the water, and I'm still lower than I was last week. So
Yeah,
not bad.
I think you're taking a great approach to it there. I think it's very reasonable, right? Weekend spoilers happen. I was trying to eat healthy all week. My wife and I went out for dinner Saturday. There was a dessert on the menu that just was too good to pass up that we shared, and little chocolate mousse and marshmallow later. You have to pay for that somewhere. So I think progress is progress. I think the fact that you're taking it as a win is exactly right. So congratulations. That's each week so far. So the journey continues. The journey continues. I'm excited about it.
So I'm down 2.6 overall. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll see how we show up again next week. So
Yeah.
I think the big thing is like my eating habits clearly have changed.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, oh, it's agony at night. Like I was like, give me something to take the edge off. Nope, it's not. It's still there, but it's like it's okay. That one cup of pudding is okay. And whipped cream, Andy, has no calories in it. So like shove that all in your mouth.
It's got other things maybe, but good.
Yeah.
Enjoy your tub of whipped cream or whatever you're indulging in. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it.
It's all good. So Andy, let's get into our first
All
segment
right.
because this talks about our my weekend. Andy, I'm gonna call this Monday Mea Culpa because I owe a big fat Mea Culpa. Okay, so on Friday's episode, I don't know if Monday Mea Culpa is even the right word. Monday or Friday, we talked about the Cybertruck and who the fuck would ever drive a Cybertruck? Like these are ridiculous. Well, now I can say it's this guy.
You're that
So
guy.
yeah, I'm that guy. So let me put a little context. Andy, we went to a wedding up in Maryland this weekend. Friends of our son, and
Yeah.
then by default, family friends. The parents are really nice family friends of ours. We've known them since preschool, so 4 years old. And they got married. Their son got married. My son's one of my son's best friends. So they got married this weekend up in Maryland. So we journeyed up Friday morning, got up there midday, and as you will call Andy, we talked about the Cybertruck
Yeah.
on Friday.
We
And
talked quite a bit
so
about it.
yeah, yeah, it was quite like who would ever drive this up? So when we go up to Maryland, we typically stay with family friends of ours. They're a really great family. They have a great place. They're the most generous, fun people you'll ever meet. Will give you the shirt off their back no matter what. And they happen to do very well in life. I mean, and very well. And he happens to like the husband likes nice cars.
Yeah.
And I should have just known, Andy, as I pull into their driveway, there is the Cybertruck. And I just had to start laughing, and my wife is sitting there like, "What's going on?" And I recounted our story
Yeah.
on Friday. So
Because she was waiting to listen to it later in the day, I assume. But
Andy, we actually listened to it on our way up. That's how it was. So anyways, we pull up and I just let out a huge laugh. So I'm talking to the wife, to our friend's family, or the wife of our friend, and she's like, this is ridiculous, it's the ugliest thing in the world, blah blah blah. I can't believe it ever showed up into our garage. This is ridiculous. But then he comes out, and of course I have to give him a little ribbing about, hey, so you're that guy who's got he's like, you need to take it out for a drive. I was like, I'm not taking that thing out for a drive. but he likes this. Like he's a very so generous and like he wants to share what he's got. So he's
Yeah,
like, you have to take it out. Andy, I'm going to tell you, you go inside the Cybertruck, and I don't know if other ones are. It is like being in a Humvee. There's nothing in
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It is a screen with a steering wheel that looks like a video game joystick almost. That's it.
yeah,
That's all there is. There's no consoles. There's no other buttons. You touch this. But Andy, and I felt like an idiot driving it. But I'm going to tell you, like this thing like can turn like 90 to make a 90-degree turn. It doesn't feel like you're in a truck. And I went 0 to 100 and I swear like nothing. And it was amazing. Had so much power. That said, I still don't understand the practicality of it and what you use it for. So I asked him, I said, what would you use this for? Like
yeah.
what he's like, well, I'll probably just take people into town. It's like a SUV. I was like, yeah, but like I, I just don't get it. But Andy, I will say the Cybertruck, for as bad as it looks, and I would never own one, even if it cost $10,000. It was quite an amazing machine. So
Yeah.
I could see the draw of it. I just still can't see the draw of it.
Well, I mean, I think EVs and Teslas in particular, are it's a different driving experience, right? The mechanics work differently, the way the vehicle moves works differently, and the interior of the Tesla is a very different vehicle, and I think that's part of the draw, right? Is that you're really buying the technology even more than the vehicle. You're buying this technologically advanced vehicle that happens to be a car, and I think that's part of the draw and the sell. And that's part of how what got people excited about it, right? They're buying something different. They're buying the future. I think if not for the divisiveness of the CEO, Tesla would probably still be doing way better than it was. It was on a great trajectory. Things have taken a little bit of a turn the last couple of years. I think partially due to the what goes on outside of Tesla. But I'm glad you put it with an open mind. I mean, honestly, as much as we mock that god awful looking vehicle, whatever it is that we're teasing, I mean, if we should be open to things and not judgmental based on any other reasons, right? Because whether it's because of something somebody said or whatever it is. So I'm glad that you approached it openly. I'm glad you got the driving experience, Dave. I would not buy it either, but it's good to have that personal experience with it.
Yeah, no, it was fascinating. So I'm glad I was able to do it. It was fun, but
Yeah,
again, I still wouldn't go that route personally. But that's why I'm Dave, and that's why everybody else is everybody else.
that's
So
right. They have their
uh,
choice to buy what they want.
the other mea culpa, Andy, I want to issue is like I was really down on the Orioles on Friday,
Yeah.
and they had just lost Thursday, and I wasn't. This is terrible. And then Friday and Saturday they have these come from behind wins and they beat the Astros two of the games. They lost last night, but I'm back to feeling pretty decent about the Orioles again. Maybe they don't have they play the Dodgers these next couple days, so that's going to be a big series, but maybe I'm not so down as I thought I would be down earlier. So it's a little bit of a mea culpa weekend for me, mea culpa Monday. I gotta extend my apologies there, Andy. So
I like.
not bad.
I think we all get excited about things. We get passionate about things, whether it's our sports teams or products or brands or people or politics, whatever it is. I think it's good to be able to come back and say, hey, maybe I got a little bit overexcited and I'm bringing things back to level here. So it's good. I think it's important for you to have that, as you go into the NFL football season here. I think it's important for you to find that ability to let things pass and not let your day and week get ruined. Dave, we're out of time, but another time I'll share about the passionate fans in Philadelphia and how that city is so up and down on the wins and losses of the Eagles. What an experience that was for me. So I'm glad that you could find peace in the Orioles and come back to ground.
Yeah, a little bit at least. Yeah, those Eagles fans. It's gonna be a fascinating year for those Eagles, but
Yeah, yeah. But
um,
that's story worth telling. That was quite the experience to me as I left the military. And so that's for another day, Dave. Another day.
that'd be for another day, Andy. I think we'll hit on this a little bit at the end, but maybe RFK Jr. has a mea culpa of his own that he. So, okay, but that'll be the last thing we wrap up with today, Andy. But how was your weekend? You got a lot of things done around the house, Andy?
Dave, I did. I tend to be pretty pretty much a creature of habit, right? A creature of routine. I like structure. I approach things a certain way, and I get easily tilted when things get thrown into my day that weren't planned, right? And so, I spend my Saturday's chore day, right? So I wake up, I enjoy a cup of coffee and waste some time on my phone, and then I get into it. I plan out the day. I know what I'm going to do, chores, workouts, everything. Same thing on Sunday, right? So I do it on Saturday and it continues on Sunday. So good weekend, productive weekend, got a lot done, felt very good about it, good workouts, everything was good. Sunday, Dave, woke up, had the schedule, did the normal morning things that we do, enjoyed our time together. My youngest son, as we mentioned, is off at school. My eldest son happens to be here. So I was doing things, right, going through my day and got to the point where I was getting ready to go work out, Dave. I was ready to go work out. And then the disruptions began. And so there were a couple little ones, made it through there, but I was like, all right, I got this, gonna get out there, was refocused, gonna go get a great shoulders workout, go get a great run in. And then my loving wife, innocently, lovingly, non-problematically, just asks for a simple favor and breaks out that little honeydew moment. It's just, hey honey, would you mind putting up a few pictures for me? And Dave, I don't know what happens in your mind when you're asked to put up pictures, but for me, that's like sirens and car crashes. And there's not a chore I despise more than hanging pictures. I'm not great at it. I don't love it. Dave, I hate it. And so, of course, externally, my response was, yeah, of course, I'll come right there and take care of that for you. Internally, there were tears, broken hearts, everything that came along with it. So, needless to say, I went up to my wife's office, spent the better part of an hour putting up a few frames for her, getting them where she wanted, and nicely aligned, and then came down to do my workout, which was great, But Dave, the honeydew list is always a fun one here, but on this Sunday, really put a little kink in my timeline and was highly disruptive. God bless my wife, I love her, and I was happy to do the chore for her, but in that moment, it was a killer. But Dave, I think it's time management so important here, right? As we head into our favorite time of the year, maybe with the football season, it's big. How about you? Do you have honeydew experiences? I mean, what's that like in the Pounder household?
Yeah, it is the same. Most of the time, I can knock it out right away, or I try to knock it out right away. There's always those times like, yep, I'll take care of that. Like
Yeah,
my wife and daughter, both their key fobs on their cars, the battery was running low, and I was like, oh, this is this is a basic task. Just freaking, we have the batteries, just replace the stuff. I
yeah,
was like, yep, I'll get to it. And then for some reason, you just don't get to it. And finally, my wife's like, can you show me how to do it so that I will do it since you haven't been able to do it? So I was like, "Ah, great. Okay. So then I just not, it takes 5 minutes to
yeah,
do. I
yeah.
was able to do both in 5 minutes. I just don't know why I got delayed on that. But the honeydew list is important. Andy, this weekend is while we had college football last weekend, shout out to Georgia Tech for beating Florida State.
Yes.
Early season upset already. This weekend really kicks things off, and my team, Penn State, plays West Virginia. So that'll be a nail biter, even though I think Penn State's better than West Virginia. Most people do. But from noon to 10 o'clock at night, it's all college football. And
Yeah.
then while NFL doesn't start on this coming Sunday, it does start next Thursday, Andy. And listen, men out there or football fans, that's wrong for me to just say men. Anyone who's got honey-do lists coming up, you better find time to knock that stuff out, plan around your games, because
Yeah.
this is an important time of year. I mean, we got to knock that stuff out.
You do. You got to manage it around the big games, right? I mean, I'm excited, Dave. We'll talk more NFL kickoff soon. I mean, we got Eagles Friday night. We've got Lions Sunday night. There's a lot to be excited about. You're right. I mean, add college football into the mix, and I'm not traditionally a college football guy. I've never gotten into it because Dave, our alma mater sucks and doesn't have a football team. So I never got into it, and I didn't get into Virginia Tech because my eldest son went there, and just because I was never a big Hokies football fan. But I'm actually cheering for my youngest son's school, so it's fun to actually be cheering for a college football team. But that's more time, right? And anytime you want to sit and watch the games, if you're a college guy, an NFL gal, whatever your preferences are, or both, you really do have to manage that time, protect it, and get those honeydew items done. For me, Dave, my wife knows if it makes it onto, I live and die on my to-do list, work, life, everything. She knows if it makes it onto on the to-do list, it gets taken care of, key fobs or otherwise. But if it doesn't actually get on the list, there's no chance in hell that chore's getting done. She knows it, I know it. It just doesn't register really deeply. So either it's I gotta do it in the moment, like I did with the picture frames, or it's got to get on the to-do list. So women, men, as you're out there, be mindful of your time restrictions now as football season's upon us. Plan accordingly. Plan accordingly. Some things might not get done for a few months for some people.
You have is it a written list, Sandy? Look, I'm going to show you here, like all the listeners. I've got a written list here. That's for my work stuff.
Yeah.
You keep a written list, or you keep a
I've got an app I've used for a few years. I used to live on Microsoft's to-do list way back in the day, and they just disconnected that functionality for a while. And I got an app that I found that I really like. Not non-sponsored promotion. Todoist is the app that I use, compatible on your phone and your desktop device, and it's great. It's great. Keep track of everything there. Put it in, check it out. Daily tasks, weekly tasks. It's a lifesaver. So that's another thing we get into. Maybe we'll do a little personal management discussion sometime. Maybe I could talk about the value of the to-do list, but it's key for me, and my wife knows it too. She knows. Andy, can you put that on your list? Yes, ma'am. It goes on the list, and eventually it'll get done in accordance with plans.
does she ever put things on the list for you, or you allow that to happen?
It's
Or
an app she can't. So I'm I'm
okay.
I'm I'm in control, but she knows she can direct traffic, Dave. She knows she can provide guidance, and she knows that if she tells me to do it, it's got to get on there. She sees me put it on there. She knows it's getting done.
Okay. All right. That sounds good, Andy. Well, let's roll this into a little bit more football talk, Andy. We got a fan or a listener kind of post on Threads.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to mess up the name, but Mushashi Designs.
Musashi Designs. Yeah, one of my favorite fellow Lions enthusiasts, Dave, on Threads.
Yeah, well, so he or they posted on the weekend. They said, "I can't wait for football this season more than any other because the Lions have a realistic shot." Is that how it felt to be a Cowboys fan in the 90s?
Yeah.
Um, Very interesting comment. Andy, I guess I'll just start and then you tell me about what
Yeah.
it feels like to have a realistic shot here. Look, a Cowboys fan in the 90s, you forget like 89 was awful year, right? So we like there was the 1 in 15 year or whatever they had. The only win, the only solace we took was beating the Redskins with Paul Palmer, our main running back there. But then we, drafted, and so in the 90s we started off changing, where I think we were 7-9, and then we were finally like 10-6, and going to the playoffs, and
Yeah.
we play the Lions of all teams, and we didn't win that game. And so that was a bad. So you're like 91, you're sitting there like, okay, so we're right on the cusp, right? And then so that's when you started feeling like, hey, we have a realistic shot here. We've got our number one quarterback. We've got the triplets. We've got Emmett
Yeah.
Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin. We had Alvin Harper on the other side. We had Jay Novacek. And so you're sitting there, and then not to mention all the defensive players that you had on that front, and the secondary was so good, the linebackers. So you're like, this is it.
Yeah.
And
Stacked.
we were ready to go. So I felt like I was like, this is our shot, this is our chance. But the Niners were still good, and that was like the hurdle you had to get over. But what I loved about the Jimmy Johnson teams is like they didn't pay homage to anybody. Like fuck the Niners, and we went in and kicked the shit out of the Niners, and
Yeah.
and so it was great. And so you had not those back-to-back championships, and then you had the loss there in between. And but when Jimmy Johnson left, it's hard to express like how much of a like depressing, deflating part that was, because he was such a like he was the character of the team,
Yeah.
and he owned that. And when you bring in Barry Switzer, who was just a buffoon, um,
That it was
And
great. As a Cowboys hater, like that transition was just something to love.
yeah, it was just a buffoon thing. And honestly, that started like even though they won the Super Bowl that one in 96, it wasn't you didn't feel good about that Super Bowl. If anybody remembers go back against the Steelers, the only reason well, one of the main reasons we won was because two big interceptions. And in fact, it was a defensive player who was the MVP of that Super Bowl. But you didn't feel great about it. And since 96, everyone, it's been so like even if you think you had a chance, you got to remember too, the NFC East was so bad at that time too. Like it was the Cowboys would just run it and you
Yeah.
felt good about it. So like it was great in the early 90s, but like after that last Super Bowl, it's been it's just been that downward trend. And even though they've had good years here and there, I now am I'm such a I don't know, hater on some of it. I'm so cynical about it now. So I don't know. I took a long time to explain that, Andy, but I don't know. So how does that make you feel on your side?
Well, I'll say, I mean, I appreciate the question, and I think growing up in this area, Dave, and Dave, obviously you were here in Northern Virginia with me, during those years. It was inundated, obviously, with Washington fans, right, which was the home team. So I had to deal with all of the pesky Washington fans and all the burgundy and gold. But then you had all the contrarian Cowboys fans, right? And the Cowboys were, I mean, huge, right? This is an area that's popular with Steelers fans. You've got some Philly fans, but the Cowboys, there's a lot of fans that I think partially just in spite of Washington are Cowboys fans. And during the 90s, man, one of my best friends growing up, you came along, and like dealing with Cowboys fans was awful during like I couldn't stand it because you were so good. I mean, the triplets were so good. The Cowboys were so good, and here I was cheering on this sort of Lions team that we had some moments during then they did get to the NFC Championship in '91, but just couldn't get it done, and it was just so exhausting. So I think the difference between where the Lions are today and where the Cowboys were then is you won the Super Bowls, right? So even though it's frustrating, and they deal with the Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones, Barry Switzer, transitions and everything, the team was good. You won Super Bowls. For the Lions, I think the difference is we haven't gotten to Valhalla quite yet. We're still waiting to get there. But Dave, the enthusiasm of Lions fans right now, like the genuine excitement, I think it was already getting to like a high level where people actually like people genuinely believe in this team, which is something that's been hard for Lions fans to do. Like actually believe like we can take the Lions, the playoffs, the Super Bowl in serious conversation together. But the lack of actually getting there is still there, right? So I think the difference is really the Cowboys did it. The Lions are looking to do it. And so this year, Detroit's got to get out there. They've got to live up to expectations, which are, as I said before, higher than I've ever seen for the Detroit Lions in serious conversation. At the end of the day, got to go out there and those damn 49ers are still really good. They're always really
Yeah.
good. And you got to beat the Niners. You got to beat Philly. You got to get to the big game. You got to be able to punch it in the mouth of the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens and get the job done and bring it home. And I think Detroit seriously can. And I think the One Pride community, the Lions community, is genuinely like excited to see it. I see people coming up on threads being like, "Hey, I'm cheering for the Lions this season. I'm in." And it's great to see that. So people are excited, but I think the difference is, we're hopefully looking to get those wins, to get that championship. Whereas the Cowboys back in the '90s, like you guys have gotten it done. Like you could walk around with that pompous, obnoxious, I want to punch you in your smirky face look, because you guys were getting it done. You were winning the NFC East consistently. You're getting to the Super Bowl. You're winning games. It was different. So I hope the Lions can enjoy that kind of dominance here as we wrap up, the 2020s. I can only hope.
Yeah, like there's a lot of similarities. I think we talked about this before. Like
Yeah.
the Cowboys and Lions from these eras were a lot of similarities. I think the biggest difference though is like the NFC North is like it's a bear. The Packers are good. The Bears will be better. Unfortunately, the Vikings had the JJ McCarthy piece, but they're going to be good for next couple years. So that NFC North is going to be really brutal. So it's going to be a fight. So but good luck to the Lions, and we'll see where the Cowboys go. Again, my optimism is ease tempered for the long term. But great question. If anybody else has any questions, please hit us up on Threads. And I apologize if I messed up your name on reading it out there, but really appreciate the question, and to hit us up with other ones if you have some.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, let's just wrap up real quick. What do endorsements mean? I think you talked about this before. I guess RFK's out now. Andy's endorsing Trump, trying to get I would imagine this is a play for some sort of role in the campaign. Also to try to get some new, like some momentum going, or maybe some additional votes going. Andy, I'm going to be honest with you. I know we talked about it on Friday, and I was traveling, but I still checked my phone and still
Yeah.
checked the news. This got very little press activity. This is still not taking away from anything the DNC, the Democrats are doing right now. Like they need something quick to stem the tide here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really cares. I mean, for the Trump campaign, it's a boost, right? I mean, it's a boost to get the support of somebody who is running for president. You know, RFK was carrying still a few percentage points. Yeah, there's a lot of different commentary about it. It's gonna people are saying it's a close race. Maybe not that close. I think the newest poll out has Kamala Harris up by 7 points right now, which is pretty remarkable. But you know, could RFK's 2%, 3% be a difference maker in some battleground states? It could be, but Dave, realistically, like those who are still supporting RFK weren't necessarily supporting him and following him to the cliff's edge. You know what I mean? So some are gonna break for Harris, some are gonna break for Trump, some are gonna go back to the LP where some of them came from, some are gonna not vote, and so I think it's gonna kind of dissipate kind of insignificantly and not really
Mhm.
be a big difference. I don't think anybody um, in mass numbers is coming to support the Trump Vance campaign that wasn't already there. They're already, you know, pretty politically aligned in a lot of ways. So I don't think it's a huge game changer. I don't think it's got enough to ebb the momentum coming out of Chicago for the Democrats. It is what it is. I think we'll see what happens. There's still a lot of race to run, and as we go into Labor Day here in a minute, Dave, you know, then we're really in the thick of things, in the heat of things. Some interesting political, you know, nonsense over the weekend as Trump takes to social media to start questioning the debate. Maybe he's going to pull out of the debate. You know, there's a lot to be seen, a lot to be apprehensive about too, with some of the leaning into talk of theft and stealing the election already. But that's for another day, Dave. But RFK's out. Don't know that it makes a big difference. I think it's really a two-horse race, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be here we go. It's Labor Day weekend coming up here. This is the kickoff. We got the debate shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
It's gonna be this is gonna be good, and we'll see how much the Donald Trump is an unserious candidate in a serious world type of thing
yeah.
out. So that's the Democrat strategy. They're gonna label him a buffoon, which I don't know if that's a, a stretch of a label. So, anyways, Andy, okay, the good Mea Culpa Monday. It's the start of school here officially now for North Carolina. I think most places now around the country, that maybe a couple still have the wait till after Labor Day, but I'm gonna get my youngest one up and rolling, and have a good first day of school today, Andy, for that one. So
I'm excited, Dave. I think that's such a big special day. So good luck to your little one. Good luck to the Pounder clan. I'm glad you successfully made it up and back from Maryland, and some fun things to share. So happy Monday, Dave. Good to have this. And we're going to the Labor Day weekend here. So a special week for America, as it's a major milestone every year. So good way to start the week, Dave.
yeah, and for all those, if I can be an example for you, maybe you can have your own Mea Culpa Monday. So, all right, everyone. With that, Andy, I will talk with you next time.